My name's Kate Pollard, I'm the Publishing Director at Hardy Grant. I've had the pleasure of publishing the book Bolder, Life Lessons from People Older and Wiser Than You. Tonight we're going to have a discussion about the book and about what it means to get older in today's society. So before we get going, I want to introduce everyone on the panel. So to the far right we have Helen Cathcart, and she is an experienced lifestyle photographer. And it's actually shot a lot of cookbooks for me, that's how we know each other. And she's shot the likes of Yotam Ottolenghi, Tom Kerridge, and countless other books. I've sent her all across the world on mad adventures, doing various things for me. And she's done loads of things for magazines as well. And Dominique Afacan is been editing luxury lifestyle magazines for over 10 years. And for the past 4 years, she's been based in London as a freelancer. Together they formed Bolder in 2015, a blog at first and then Instagram, in an effort to change the conversation about ageing. And this has seen them interview various people over the age of 70 and take photographs of them, and I think change their attitude towards ageing. And of course, lots of you already know Sue Kreitzman. She's featured in the Bolder book and also on the blog. She's a successful food writer for many years before transitioning into the art world, and Sue has also featured in the film Fabulous Fashionistas and designed Selfridges' most popular window display, among many, many other things, which I hope she will discuss tonight. I guess for me the first question for Dom and Helen is, you're both women in your 30s, what were you thinking starting a blog and taking photographs? What prompted the Bolder blog?
Lots of things.
Yeah, we were scared basically of getting older. We were both in our mid-30s, I think, when we started it.
Yeah.
And it's that age where you're like, there's a lot of milestones you're supposed to be hitting, which we weren't hitting.
No.
And I think lots of negative messaging about what it means to be old, lots of anti-aging products in our makeup bags. And we just sort of knew it was ridiculous, but we couldn't help it. So
It was sort of being bombarded to us in the media, we felt, and we realised that when we got older we were maybe going to become invisible because these people weren't being talked about. So we thought, right, well now while we can do something about it, let's start a conversation and get it out there so that basically for our future selves we could fight ageism.
And Sue, when we started talking about the questions for tonight, one of the things that you said in an email was that we need to cover the privilege, adventure and excitement of getting old. And you mentioned that we're all time travellers, which I think is a really neat way of putting it. Why do you think that's an important thing for us to be touching on?
What is the alternative to getting old? It's being dead. And my mother and my father both died in their early 50s. I was in my early 20s. Every day, every week, every month, every year, I am so lucky, really. And people are living longer, they're living better. Medical science has saved me from disaster many, many times. And I love being old. I mean, the older you get, the closer you are to death, but we're all traveling to a death anyway. So come on, enjoy yourself. And every life, the longer you live, there's tragedy, there's illness, things happen, but still, how glorious to be alive. And what I always say to a beautiful young audience like you, we, old people, are you, if you are lucky.
Exactly.
If you're lucky, you're going to get to have a magnificent old age. Take care of yourself now. And it's easier to take care of yourself now because medical science is amazing. I don't want to live in the last century. I'm happy I did live in the last century, but this century is better as far as medical science is concerned. And embrace age. Don't make yourself grotesque with plastic surgery. Don't buy these ridiculous creams. Wrinkles are beautiful. Look what's happening here. Okay, I don't know if you read Nora Ephron. She died recently. She was exactly my age. And she said famously, I'm beginning to worry about my neck. I decided to stop worrying about my neck. I don't have too many wrinkles, but that's because I still have acne, even though I'm 79 years old. I don't know which wrinkle. But no, whatever happens to you, it's a fabulous journey. Be aware of what's going on around you. You know, I was born in 1940. I've seen a lot of things happening. And I know we're in turmoil right now. I'm a New Yorker, but I've been here for 36 years. America is a mess. London, England is a mess. everybody's in a mess, but still, we can make the world a better place for those around us. I have a lot of people in the audience here that I mentor and I do my best to take care of. That's our lot in life, you know? I want to make art, I want to take care of people, I want to be with my family. What else is there in life? Getting old is an adventure and a privilege. And I wish you a wonderful old age. Not yet, but eventually.
Talk, darling.
Yeah.
You can see why Sue's in the book.
I found it interesting because I got sent the manuscript quite a long time ago, and the story behind the book is that I really wanted to publish the book, and then a lot of people in the office, in our sales team particularly, didn't get it, didn't think it would sell. There's a real stigma, I think, that people don't want to buy things that old people are in because it's not young enough and cool enough, which really feels ironic to me, since the people with the money are the older people, so I don't really get that. But why do you think that is? What do you think? Because when I first got the manuscript, I got it in January after I came back from Christmas and I felt really miserable. And actually, you know, like proper January doldrums, and I read the manuscript, I took it home and finished it, which I would never do in January normally because I can't face doing that. And I finished it in the whole evening because I found the stories really inspirational. So why do you think there is that feeling that other publishers didn't want to take it on? What do you think that is?
It's probably all based around fear.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to think about being old. It's just this other thing, which is ridiculous because, of course, we're all, as Sue says, heading in that direction. But scared of it. And because there hasn't been much effort to change perceptions of growing older, I think people are just not that keen to encourage projects like this, and that's why we're delighted you took us on.
I'm delighted.
I just have to say, all of us in this book are very, very cool. The people you can imagine. And there's a guy you may have heard of named Ari Seth Cohen, Advanced Style. He has become a really good friend of mine. He put old ladies in the zeitgeist, and now he's old men as well. He has made people realize how cool, how glamorous, how vibrant, how alive we are. And yeah, we're going to die. Of course, everybody's going to die. And my husband always talks about that proverbial bus. No matter what age you are, you can be hit by a bus tomorrow. So we all face that. And the idea is to live every day the best you can, as if it's your last day, because you never know, it might be.
Do you feel that the pressure's different for women? I think it's interesting that we're talking about this in a women's members club, and I think there's that whole thing of when you're a man you become a silver fox, but when you're a woman, what is the phrase that you become? So what do you think that is all about?
We need to invent a phrase, the female silver fox, because there isn't one, is there?
Yeah, it is changing. I mean, look at us, us older women. Zandra Rose is in this book, and Dominique. Oh my goodness. First of all, we're not so worried about the male gaze. So can I use the word? I'll use the word. It's like, are you still fuckable? Who cares? I mean, who cares? We don't have to worry about that anymore. We become humans rather than just women. And I think women all through the age, that I'm hoping that's going to happen. We don't need to worry about the male gaze. They say that biology is destiny. It doesn't have to be. If you want to have children, great. You don't want to have children, that's fine. You can be anything you want as a woman, including a man these days. Because I know a lot of people who have transitioned. It is an amazing time to be alive. If you ignore the government and everything else that's happening, it is an amazing time to be alive, I think, especially for women.
I actually found it interesting when I read the book that a lot of people never mention their children once. And yet we're so pressured as women to focus on being married and having children. Yet a lot of the women in the book, number one, didn't mention their children. Number two, said they never wanted to live with a man again. Which okay, that's hilarious.
It was always an extra question we had to ask. It was never, when they were talking about their amazing lives that we were interviewing them about, we always had to ask them, do you have children? Or it would be thrown in there. It wasn't the main reason that most of women had lived their lives. It was
and they weren't living vicariously through their children at all, because they had so much going on themselves, I think. And also there was the fact that the children had flown the nest a long time ago, and so they had this new lease of life. I couldn't remember them anymore.
talk about the empty nest is the most wonderful thing in the world. Just wait for them to go, so I can, go back to my real life. Although you can work, I always work. I have one son, and I always worked and was a mother at the same time. And we can do all of this now. It's not easy, but we can do whatever we want now. It's quite amazing, absolutely amazing.
So did you, Dom and Helen, when you were doing the interviews, find anything that was surprising, or was there a common thread between all these different people that were over the age of 70 and were really interesting? Did you see that they all had something in common?
Yes, their attitude, they were all really positive, and we would quite often go in there for some reason and be quite scared. I mean, quite a few of them are quite well known and very big personalities, but we get in there like, why were we worried about talking to these people? And we come out just feeling completely uplifted, which is why we just kept doing it again and again. And they weren't hard to find. It wasn't like we could really search for these people. These people are just there, they're out there, and once we would send an email or ask someone or interview someone, we could find out about somebody else.
And they were so open as well.
Yeah.
We were asking people quite personal questions about everything from love and sex to like regrets and death and all these big topics. And we'd never met before usually, so it was always a little bit, oh gosh, is this okay? Yeah. And actually they loved talking to us, and we often stayed for like an entire day, or we stayed in, you had a swimming lesson from one of them in South France. We stayed in like loads and loads of days where we just stayed way beyond our sort of allocated hour. And that's probably symptomatic of a society that just doesn't talk to people over a certain age, and people were delighted to be able to tell their stories.
And we'd always kick ourselves up the backside when we came away saying we have to be more positive.
Yeah.
We are not saying anything negative ever again. We have to be, like Sue says, thankful for every day and making the most of it. And it's good because we do go back and think about it.
We do. Yeah.
I also noticed that a common theme was that a lot of people said that retiring makes you old.
Yes.
And I know, Sue, you're still creating. Is that a conscious decision, or is it something that just happened?
Well, I was determined to keep working until, it ain't over until it's over. And I expected to keep writing cookbooks into my dotage, but the muse bit me in the bum very unexpectedly, and I suddenly lost all interest in food and cooking and became
So how many cookbooks did you say you...
27.
That's amazing, because we publish cookbooks actually, and I have never done 27 with one.
Yeah. It wasn't with one publisher. My favorite publisher was Judy Pietro, and of course that publisher was not one, but she was amazing, absolutely amazing. So yes, and I fully expected to keep on doing that, and I cooked on television a lot, and I traveled the world teaching cooking, but I did have some sort of psychotic break, because I was always very bad at art, and I became an artist. It was a gift from heaven. And every year I think, am I still an artist? And yes, I am, and I will be forever. So I'm very, very lucky.
I remember you describing it like the pen moved your hands.
Yes,
it was this out-of-body experience.
I was working on the proofs of my 27th cookbook, which is nice, relaxing. It's all the work is all done. You're just checking the typos and so on. And I had scrap paper and I had markers, and my hand picked up a marker. I still don't understand it, and I couldn't even doodle. I used to just do hash marks and musical notes for doodling. I could not draw, and I drew a mermaid. Later, if we have time, I'll tell you the story of the mermaid. And I looked at the mermaid, and the mermaid looked at me, and my life changed in that moment. My life completely changed. And I became quite obsessed with it. And my agent, I lost my mind, and my family thought, what happened to Mother? Sorry. Yes, sorry. Can you hear me? And yes, I still, and I become very odd. I become kind of world famous for the weird art I do, and I now mentor other weird artists. And I curate shows in outsider art. So I've been very, very lucky. And I think we really need, as long as we can, as long as the brain cells are working, we need to keep working. And my husband always says retirement means death. He just turned 80 this weekend, and he's still working too. So I think that's quite important. absolutely important. And if you can be doing something you really care about, then you're very lucky.
Most of the boulders are doing something that they love, and that was a real thing. And a lot of them are creative, because I think when you're creative, you love what you do every day, so you get up and you keep doing it.
So do you think that that's a myth, that there's a deadline for career success? Do you think that
It is a myth.
Yeah.
It is a myth. And that's what makes this book so inspiring. Everybody is doing something that matters to them, that matters to society. It's very uplifting. And I mean, I'm 79 and I still get inspired. So we just keep going.
And Helen, when you were taking the photographs of all the people in the book, did you notice anything different about them as models?
Yes. I think I photograph a lot of people in my other line of work. They're younger and they're very obsessed with how they're coming across. And the boulders just don't really care. They're quite grateful and happy that they're having the photo taken, and they just really enjoy it. They don't even want to see it, whereas nowadays a lot of people are photographing for magazines. You're quite often shoot to a computer and they're trying to look at it while you're photographing, or they're trying to see it afterwards, and the boulders just don't really care. And I think you can really get that from them, that they're just enjoying it and they are really comfortable with how they look at that stage in life. So yeah.
And also I found when I was reading that lots of people, and I know you touched on the fact that you said you had health issues, but a lot of people had lost partners, lost children, had really serious health issues. I just wondered if you had any insight into the human spirit, or what, if being resilient is something to add to longevity, or Sue or Dom and Helen, what you feel about.
The older you get, the more your body falls apart. I mean, but I'd rather my body fell apart than my brain.
Yeah.
And I still seem to be compos mentos for now. But yes, but as I said before, medical science, I had a couple of heart attacks. I have stents. My cataracts, that's why I don't have any. If I take off my glasses, nobody knows me, but I don't need anything anymore. So many things that are typical of old age can now be fixed. You know, when I was a kid, I'm maybe 13, this is historic, I actually had polio. That was just before the Salk vaccine was invented. I actually had polio, and I was very lucky that I have some problems as a result of that, but they're not noticeable. So yes, I mean, I know what it's like to be infirm. You don't get through life without having some infirmities. But as long as it doesn't actually axe you, oh, so what? You just keep going as best you can. You know,
I think as well, like me and Helen, when we started it, we were like trying to find, you know, like we're from the binge drinking generation, so we were like desperately trying to find these people who, desperately trying to find people who like smoked 100 cigarettes a day and like drank a bottle of wine a night, and they were just few and far between. And you sort of realise, actually, no, people we speak to have taken care of their health as much as they can, whether that's physically or mentally. And it's, you know, it's our responsibility to start now.
Yes, take care of yourself now.
Yeah.
Then you can have a magnificent old age. Very important. Take care of yourself.
It was a shame to hear for us.
Sorry. Sorry.
Dom, when you were interviewing people, one of the things that you said was that many of our interviewees were alone and yet not lonely. And I think that we hear a lot about being, especially if you're single, that this is a big thing, that we need to not be single when we're older. Was that a surprise to you?
It wasn't a surprise because I'm single myself and happy, but I was delighted that people were saying these things about being single, because it's so not the narrative you normally hear. Obviously, it's normally like something that needs to be fixed, or it's a sad person. Oh my God, you're nearly 40. What are you going to do? You know, and I'm used to all of that because I'm 39 and single. And so to hear from women and men who were happily single, and even if they maybe had been widowed or they had been married in the past, so many of them were so happy to be on their own. and were so confident about it. They just didn't care about what society thought.
They were quite confused if we were like, oh, do you worry? And we're like, no.
Yeah.
Like, they're carrying things. But yeah, we'd like to be with someone, but you know.
Lots of people, we were like, oh my god, I'm single. We were both single when we started it. We were like, oh my god, we're single. And they'd be like, lucky you.
Yeah.
And it was just so refreshing, I think.
It's important to have your own space and to be responsible for yourself. I'm sort of, I don't know how to describe it, semi-single. I have a husband I've been married to for 110 years. And he's a scientist, still working. He lives in Cambridgeshire, and I live in London. And we spend weekends together, most weekends together. So we both have our own space. It's amazing. It's a wonderful way to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Sue, you obviously feature in the style chapter of the book, and I know that Helen and Dom said that their biggest fear is getting old and wearing beige and getting the
Don't even mention
I've noticed in the book that actually there's more than one woman in there with purple hair, pink hair. Were you always dressing this way, or is this something that has come to you with age?
I always dressed with flamboyant, and what I could afford back in the day, flamboyant jewelry and very bright colors. When I was cooking on television, they had rules, but I always wore very bright tops and some kind of flamboyant piece of jewelry. And the older I got, and the more I got into the arts, the more flamboyant I became. And now there is no limit, you know? There is absolutely no limit. And I was thinking about this just the other day. For women getting old, one of the freedoms we have is your mother is no longer around. As much as you loved your mother and you miss your mother, there's nobody there to say, are you wearing that? What have you done to your hair? You know, and there are so many things you don't want your mother to know, you don't want your mother to see. Mom's not here anymore. We miss you, we loved you, but hey, that is real freedom. I don't have daughters, I have a son who does what he wants. But, the daughters, moms and daughters, it's so much different. And I think, does this sound very cynical? That is part of our freedom. No more mommy, or if mommy is around when you're still in your late 70s, she's not paying attention. She's just trying to stay alive. So yeah, that is an important part of our freedom.
There's a chapter in the book on regrets, and actually if you all look on your chairs, there's a card. If you all want to fill in, it says I'm scared of getting older because, so if everyone could have a think about that, we'll talk about that after.
We'll collect them in and we'll read them out.
But,
they're anonymous, so you can work them out.
I feel like we're being constantly told that we shouldn't have regrets.
Yeah.
Yet people do have them. And what sort of things do people regret when they get older?
God, we've had everything. I think the interesting thing about regrets is that there's such a sort of trend to say I have no regrets, and it is a bit bollocks. I mean, of course, everyone has regrets. You know, everyone's made the wrong decision every now and then.
Yeah.
And I think what people that we've spoken to from Boulder have done is kind of reframed their regrets and sort of seen that they've been useful, that they've sent them on another journey.
And it's just a decision.
Yeah.
It's just a decision. It doesn't mean it was wrong, but you know, just they made this. Like one of our Boulder interviewees, he's still a top lawyer, just finished working at Allen and Overy, and he said there's no such thing as a wrong decision. It's just something that sends you on the path.
Yeah, you
but
just learn from it.
The worst thing is to not make a decision and to have inertness. He was a very big fan of that because that would be a regret.
So we've got Frances, who's like an 82-year-old model. She one of her regrets was that she wished she'd realised she was capable of more sooner in life, which seemed really sad.
She
to
only
us
became a
because-
model in her 80s. She
Yeah.
didn't realise she was beautiful her whole life.
Yeah, and it just seemed like this waste, and
Yeah.
it was. I think it touched us because it was just such a prevalent attitude among all of us our age. We don't know. We don't feel we're capable of much until it's too late, and I think we really learned from that.
Yeah.
I also found it interesting that some people said a regret was working too much, and then the women not having enough sexual partners.
Yes.
It was a really amazing thing to when you're older really
Yeah.
regret, because again I think that women are still judged for that, but actually maybe when you get to your 80s you don't give a shit, you've actually done it a bit more.
It's never too late.
But they didn't always stumble on that question. They had to think about it a lot, about having regrets.
Yeah.
You know, they were enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
Did it surprise you that there's a chapter on sex?
It did, probably, yeah.
I think all of those things, like sex and death, we were like going into these things thinking, can we ask this? This is so rude. But I think we were the ones that were most uncomfortable. Would you agree? I don't think anyone that we interviewed was uncomfortable with the questions apart from us.
The thing about regret, of course we have regrets. There are things we said, maybe decisions we made, but if you're happy at this age, at my age, everything has led to this. And I love my life right now. So I can't regret, Okay, everybody makes mistakes. I think the things I regret the most is when I was younger, maybe I said something that hurt people. But it happens. And at this point, I like where I am. Many of your interviewees like who they are, and that's it. You can't spend your life concentrating on that. You just have to get on with it.
I think Sandra Rhodes has a quote in there saying, if you allow regrets to take over, you just can't move forward. They hold you back so much.
That's true.
Does that mean you're dodging sex? Dodging the question on sex?
Did you ask me a question about that? I don't even know how to describe myself. I am the straightest, whitest woman I've ever and yet I'm very peculiar. But I've been with one man since I was 15.
Oh, wow.
We have been utterly faithful to each other. We've had a very nice time. But I don't regret that. I don't wish I had slept with other people. I'm really, really happy. But everybody is different. Everybody is different. So you can't say there's one person.
So what made you move to London?
Well, we moved to Cambridgeshire first because my husband was offered a fellowship, what do they call it, a science fellowship or something, at Cambridge University. And we thought we'd do it for 2 years. He'd take a sabbatical. My son was studying the French horn at the time. Well, England is a very good place for French horn playing. And it just turned into a lifetime. But Cambridgeshire we were in a small fen village, very bad for me. It was 4 miles from Newmarket, 12 miles from Cambridge. So, Newmarket. If you raised horses, bet on horses, bred horses, loved horses, or actually were a horse, it was a fabulous place. But it was very small-minded. It was very beige. I was a real weirdo. They saw me as a Jewish, commie, New York alien. So yeah, it was not good for me. And that's as soon as Sean, my son, was at university, I realized I needed to get out of there. Steve is fine, he lives in his own head, he loves it there. But I moved to the East End of London. I got off the tube. I walked to the corner of Grove Road and Roman Road. I felt like I had been there before. I knew I belonged there, and I've been there for, maybe 26 years. I did belong. I'm very, very happy there. So he's still in Cambridge. But it was going to be 2 years, and here we are still.
And do you all think society's changing its mind about aging? Do you think that there's a change happening?
Very slow.
Yeah, it's slow, but thanks to people like Ariceth Cohen, thanks to books like this, thanks to all those vital, cool, amazing old people out there, especially women. Wow. I have a cadre of friends in New York, unlike here where most of my friends are young, although I have a few amazing old women friends. But in New York, oh my God, if you don't know about the idiosyncratic fashionistas or Art for City Style, or look up Ariceth Cohen, look at his book, look on Instagram at some of these people. It is changing, and we don't care. We are not invisible, and we're never going to be invisible. And the people who look at us, mostly men, and see through us and belittle us, they're not worth our time. The hell with them, really. They're not worth our time. So it is changing. It's definitely changing. Yes.
I just wanted to know if anyone's got any questions for anyone on the panel. Yeah.
Thank you so much for inspiring all of you. Just a question about transitions. And I mean, for your transition from the books, writing about food and then becoming an artist, obviously that was something different. Well, it doesn't happen to everyone when your hand starts moving and just directs you to the next kind of step. But surely you've done more transitions in life. So I guess just accurate and how you do it, and so you don't end up with any regrets.
Transition is a very good word. It's a very good word. And the thing is, as we go through life, we change. So you were a little kid, and then you became an older kid, and then, I can only speak for women, because I'm a woman, you go through puberty, and you become a completely different person. And when you get older and you go through menopause, the same thing happens. Going through menopause can be absolutely hell, but once you come, not for everybody, but for some people, once you come through the other side, it is the most amazing time of life. That is a real transition, and you are as different after menopause as you were after puberty. You become a different person, and you can embrace that person because you become a really fascinating, interesting person. And the reason, the mermaid is my personal symbol, because it is the symbol of the postmenopausal woman. No more problems down there. No more periods, no more wondering about getting pregnant. So many wonderful things. So it is, every section of life is a transition. And it's up to you to embrace the transition and not get upset about it. I just want to say a word for the menopause. You get through it, you decide how you're going to deal with it, and hooray, you enter freedom. You become the most wonderful person. I have little stories about the afterlife. Don't actually believe in the afterlife, but I have all kinds of wonderful stories about it. So we can talk about that some other time. Everything is a transition. And we need to, what are we going to do? We have to embrace it. Make it the best transition you possibly can. Very good word. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I think it's Dawn who mentioned that there's so much pressure on when you're at a certain age to hit certain milestones. And do you remember feeling that? And what advice would you give to your younger self to address that?
You just talk to me now. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm very hard of hearing. As Ben Davis said, getting old isn't for sissies. So somebody tell me exactly what she said.
What advice would you give to a younger self?
About hitting milestones.
That's a very funny question. You know how many times people have asked me that? And I imagine if I would appear to my younger self and started telling my younger self things, my younger self would think they're having some kind of a hallucination. But I would say, don't worry, embrace your weirdness. Don't listen to the people who tell you you're not supposed to be like this, you're supposed to be another time. Have faith that you're going to have a magnificent life, you're going to have many, many adventures. You just have to get through childhood, which is very, very difficult. Once I hit 30, I was very, very busy all of my adult life. I didn't have time to work, you know? So I don't think I would have anything to tell my 30-year-old self and my 40-year-old self. Every milestone, 30, 40, 50, was fantastic. I was very lucky, and I have a very positive way of looking at life. So it depends on what state your younger self is in. But if you appeared as an old lady to your younger self, they would not believe a word you were saying. So, I love that question.
Do you wake up ready to embrace your day? I find it quite difficult some mornings to get going, and I just wonder if that's something you face, and if you do, how you get yourself in the space.
It's another good question. But at my age, I'm 79. And this is for many, many people who are my age. You wake up and I think, do I know who I am? Yes. Do I know where I am? Yeah. Can I get out of bed and totter to the shower? Yeah. It's gonna be a good day. And I always have lots of things going on. I have people to see, I have drawings to make, I have to get on. I love social media. I can't tell you how much. So I have to get on the computer, I have to get on my phone. So yes, but I think that's also a function of age, because you realize, wow, there's such a rich, fertile life out there, and I'm part of it because I know who I am, I know where I am, and I can get out of bed. So it's different for older people. You're gonna love it.
Sort of slightly following on from that you guys, I haven't seen the books in great detail. Were all of the people you interviewed able-bodied? Were they physically, I mean, it sounds like this positivity and energy and all that thing, but were any of them not fully able in ways that...
They definitely weren't all jumping out of planes, that's for sure. I mean, we did have people who weren't able-bodied, and actually at our launch party, there were people there playing wheelchairs. The problem we had is that we're trying to shine a light on the positive side of aging.
I'm not saying that they,
so we
but I'm not saying that that's not positive.
No,
I'm
no.
saying it's there despite that.
Yeah, definitely.
Was obviously that's not the focus.
Yeah.
But is that, was that an aspect that wasn't a big aspect despite whatever?
I think they all adjusted, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean,
or did it bring something else, a creativity in another area, or a way they could switch? Or I'm just curious how that.
The thing is, it's not so much about the body, because there's no doubt about it, your body falls apart. It really does. It's what's up here. If you still have your synapses working, if you still can think, you're okay. You're okay. When I travel, I have to have a wheelchair to get me from there to the plane. It's just too much for me. I hate it, but it helps me. So yes, you live with the problems with your body. It's when the mind goes that
I'm just curious if that maybe was a changing point in these people's lives. That happens that they focus.
No, they didn't.
No,
to be honest,
did they move into another area because they had to change career, or I'm just curious.
No, I can't think of anyone that sort of changed their line of work or anything on account of that.
I mean, even Eve Branson used to be a ballet dancer, and she was 90-something.
Yeah, she was the oldest ever bowler.
And she, even though she was very immobile, but she could still see that she used to be a ballet dancer, and she still was so proud of it. But that wasn't the reason we were interviewing her. She was still a children's author, and so it was always sort of mentioned that if they'd maybe been more able-bodied at one point. But it's sort of, it's really interesting that you asked that, because it's not even something. It's definitely been prevalent in something that it was never dwelled upon.
I guess that's something that would be a fear for people, though, isn't it? I guess that is a thing, isn't it? I think probably maybe when people have written on knees, they've said that that's one of the things that is the biggest fear, your body failing you, isn't it?
Yeah, they did all mention that. They did all say that if you're lucky enough to still have, your physicality. But like we said earlier, you have to sort of look after that. And yes, things happen.
Yeah, you deal. You change.
But Lottie, who came to the book launch in a wheelchair, when I photographed her, she wasn't in a wheelchair. And I said to her, "What happened?" She said, "Oh, I broke my back." she was like, in her 80s and broke her back. But she was so like, did you talk to Lottie at the book?
Yeah.
She was so happy to be there, and she's like, "I love the photo you took for Boulder. It's like one of my favourite photos because she's laughing." And she didn't even want to talk about the fact that she was not in a wheelchair. I don't know.
And everybody in the book, they're all very busy.
Yeah,
they have
she's
things
very
to
busy.
do. They have
Still
people
busy.
to see. They have places to be. Very, very busy. And yes, your back goes, your feet. Don't talk to me about feet. Anyway, so I have to wear Crocs if I want to. So I embellish them, make them into the most wonderful shoes you ever saw. We deal with it. We deal with it, and it's okay. It ain't over till it's over.
And on that note, I was going to, I don't know if you were told out about that loss, and I think as you're young, you do lose people, but you perhaps don't lose as many people as you do as you get older. And one of the conversations I had with my grandparents quite a lot, my grandma used to say it's just another chapter in the book, another page turning and somebody goes. But, and I mean, I guess it's a question for everybody in the panel, how, as it builds up, do you deal with it? Because you'll deal with it in different ways, but how do you find that how do people deal with it, essentially?
Deal with loss.
I guess how it builds up over the years, perhaps.
You mean when your friends?
Yeah, parents. I lost all my grandparents, but it was a long time ago. And then, the next step will probably be my parents, and then friends, and then the next step, and the next step. And I guess it's how you deal with that building up, really.
What I find at my age, because my parents and my grandparents died a long, long time ago, dealt with that a long, long time ago. But your friends. And I don't want to weep in front of you, but yes, your friends that you love so much, and there's a my friend Charlie and my friend Irene, and oh my God. So there's an Irene-shaped space, a Charlie-shaped space. The Countess of Glamour, she is very, very difficult. And there is a hole in the air where there used to be, and it's always going to be there. That is one of the hardest things about getting older. And they're always there, you know, it's easy to say they're always in your heart. Yeah, but I don't want, this is my heart, I want them. I want, that is one of the hardest things about getting older. I can't pretend it's not. Yeah, it's a good question. Parents, grandparents, you know, that's inevitable, and it's not easy, but that's inevitable. But when your co-evils die, it's tough. Very tough.
Yeah, there is a chapter, we have a chapter on death in the book, which we felt was just, at the beginning when we started doing the interviews, we didn't want to talk about it, we just felt it was so negative, but I think we came to realise it was really important, and you've just proven that with the question. It is obviously such an important thing when you're dealing with what we're dealing with. And some of the reactions we had were really interesting, like Joyce Williams, who's in the book, said that she was less scared of death as she got older because she felt so much of life had been done and she'd done everything that she wanted. And she even said funerals had become sort of these social events where the same crowd moved from like 50th wedding anniversary to funeral to, you know, so it was just, I think what they all said was that it's the way that you end up going that's the problem as opposed to death itself. So
my husband just turned 80 and we had family celebration all weekend, and he said to me, I'm not worried about my own death, but I don't want you to go. He said to me, and I feel the same. I'm going to die, and I know I'm going to die. But it's going to be very hard for me to be goes first, and it will be the same for him. So that's the worst part of getting old. And I can't put a positive spin on that. That's very, very difficult. But I'm sorry, young people die too. It gets that proverbial bus or disease or whatever. And that's not easy dealing with other people's stuff. It's not easy.
We have Ellery in the book, and she's an ice swimmer. And she lost her son when he was in his 30s. So she talked a lot about loss. But she also says how she's not scared of death because it's not about the death, it's about living the most of making the most of every day, and that's what it clarified for her.
Like that attitude for us was just absolutely amazing. Like when she was talking about it, we were just sort of like, oh my God, don't know what to say. And she was just so positive, and she was like, it's just made me want to experience more and do more, and
she was so glad that he had a really fulfilling life. That sort of made it, you know, slightly not easier, but she said that it made her really happy that he actually had a really fulfilled life, whereas if he hadn't done much of each day.
Well, despite everything, I'm still a big Woody Allen fan, and Woody Allen famously said, I don't mind dying, I just don't want to be there.
Yes.
Just a quick question. What has been your biggest drive in life to keep on creating and keep on transforming the way you've done? Like, what can you say? It's the drive. Motivation. What's your motivation?
I've always been driven, and I'm on my third career now. I was a school teacher actually, before I was a school teacher, I was a Nobel career. And I went.
We didn't get that.
Yeah, well, I went to university on a Nobel scholarship. Otherwise, my family. Oh, you don't know the story. And then I was a teacher for many years, and I had an amazing. It's a story, and when I write my memoirs, it will be a story. Very amazing. 3 different inner cities, and then cooking kind of took over me. That was a passion, very like art is now. So there was always some kind of drive in me. Where does it come from? I have no idea. But whatever I was doing, I was 1,000% invested in. And I'm a very obsessive person. So, and I think a bit of obsession is a good thing. So I just kept going. But everybody is different. And some people want to retire. My husband, I talk about my husband a lot because we're very, very close, even though we don't exactly live together. And he's still working, and he says he's a scientist. What would I do if I was retired? I'd play golf. He He says golf with such contempt. So he is also a very driven person, which is why it's best for not to get it during the week, because we keep each other's way. So it is that obsession, that is that deep caring about what you're doing, and I care about other people and the people I take care of. But other people are different. Other people want to have a rest.
And that's the thing, I'm always like, I come
Isn't
away
it theme
from...
in the book, like, amongst all these borders, that there is
There is.
some kind of a
Yeah.
vision out there, like.
Totally, and I'm always like, is that attitude something that I can
Is that
learn, or are
curiosity,
you born with
Is
it?
it like, you know, you just want to explore and see something different, and that's why you're reading, and that's why you're changing?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're involved with something and you get really, really invested and passionate about it, there is no stopping. I can't imagine stopping. Why would I stop? That would be a punishment to stop. Yeah. Every once in a while, I get tired. I have to have a nap. You know? But no, I'll just keep going. You know, I'm sure
How
that
did the baby affect your drive?
Sorry?
How did having the baby affect your drive?
That's another interesting question, because Sean was born and I was in the midst of a teaching career. So when I was 7.5 months pregnant, I retired from teaching maternity leave. I thought I would go back, but very art took over my life, cooking took over my life. I have so many stories in here. I don't have time to tell you all. And I was a freelance, so I could write, I could cook, I could do all those things at home, you know, the freelance life. And when Sean was a toddler, of course, he liked attention. Fred. And I had this is how old I am. I had a typewriter. And I wrote my articles and my books on a typewriter. So I would be sitting there with a typewriter. I hand wrote it first. I would tape it onto the wall and type it out. And Sean had his little toy typewriter. And he would tape it up on the wall, and he'd be sitting next to me. And I had little teeny weeny cooking equipment for him. I still have all of that, the little whisk and the little teeny weeny pots. And he'd pretend to, and he was also, as he got to be an older child, he was a musician and very passionate about it. I didn't find it that hard. He was a fairly easy kid. You know, once they get out of babyhood, which is wow. But it passes so fast.
Yeah.
So fast. And you think back to those days and you think, oh, I wish I had that little baby to come to cuddle. But you just need to get through the early part, and it's over. It's over. They become little people and they do their own
It's going to be all right.
So, yeah,
Get stuff
so
done
quick. So quick. So I didn't, because I was able to switch to freelance and do it all at home. And then when he got older, then I could travel, teach cooking here, teach cooking there, teach TV. Once they go to school, and I was determined just to have the one. One is easy. Once you start having multiple, it's very difficult.
I have a question. Since doing Boulder, you know, the website, Instagram, and the book, obviously, have you both changed parts of your life through it all? Made any physical or visual changes to the way you kind of approach life now? Or
Mentally.
mental, yeah.
Nothing physical.
It's quite good the two of it, because we keep reminding each other.
Yeah.
We have to be more bolder. We always say that to each other.
And our cover star, Muffy, we met at a friend's wedding, and she was amazing. And we still use the phrase "think more Muffy" when one of us is sort of upset or feeling a bit negative. So we do kind of have that attitude shift, or at least we try to.
Which is nice to have something to keep reminding you of.
Yeah.
Because I think as our generation as well, we can be quite negative.
Yeah.
And you know, not realise how lucky we actually are.
Yeah.
We are very lucky.
Yeah, and you know, all these interviews remind us of that every time we talk to them and we say, I worry, and like they think we're ridiculous. So it's quite a good grounding.
Yeah.
Do you know how lucky we are here to have the NHS? I mean, really, in America, it is such a mess. You call an ambulance, they take you there, they take care of you, you need a specialist, they send you to a specialist, they medication. It's a kind of a miracle to an American. I've been here for 36 years, so I'm an adopted Brit. but oh my gosh. And we have freedoms that other people in other countries can only dream of as women and as people. And of course, mores have changed, so as women would want to get married, okay, but you don't have to. You don't have to have children. It really is a different age. It's a different era. We're very brave. Of course, there are things to improve, but sometimes I think we just don't know we're born. We don't realize what it's like.
So not to take things for granted.
Yeah, really.
So, question please is, I don't know if you're grandparents or Asian parents, but has this changed your perception of your older women in your family?
Totally. In fact, my parents are both over 70, and I suddenly realised after we've been doing Boulder for about 3 years that I knew much more about the people in Boulder than I did about them. And actually one of the regrets of one of the interviewees was that she hadn't asked more about her parents' lives. And so I've actually interviewed my parents. It hasn't gone anywhere. But it's made me much more interested in what their lives were like, what they've learned.
And you learned so much.
Yeah, I did. And it's so easy in families just to sort of carry on regardless and not really learn the stuff. Like, you know, my dad, when I was like, and what's your greatest fear? He was like, you know, it was so unlike anything we'd discuss normally.
Yeah.
But it was great to find out.
It's a good excuse, really,
Yeah.
to find out more.
Your parents are sort of young.
Yeah, my parents were still in their 60s, but it's made me appreciate them more. And also, I love thrusting the bold stories down their throats and saying, you should be doing this and you should be doing that, and you know, maybe being a bit more active. And things like that.
That's not fair. And that's what parents do to children. Say,
yes,
you did that. How come you can't be that way? Now you're doing that.
That's true.
Oh,
I know.
Oh my God. How come you're not?
Because I want them to still be mine, and I want them to be positive, and they are mostly. But you know, when they're 70, they will definitely be boulders. But I want to keep them that way.
I think my dad's still a bit upset he isn't in the book.
Yeah.
Hi, sorry, one more question to all three of you. I think I'm a little bit surprised about how much the purpose is to do with work, even at that age. And we've all said it. You said it at the beginning. Doing what you love is a big topic. I think coming here, I expected to hear a little bit more about community and I don't know, just something different outside of work. And I think with all the talk in terms of technology and obviously AI automating work for us, like I'm just kind of thinking, all right, so like what I'm going to do when I'll be 70 and 80, you know, is that just creative work? Or so what were the conversations outside of work purpose?
Well, I think that's still the missing link. I think we're trying to do this conversation because there's still not enough of the generation link. So there's still not enough younger people talking to the older people, like you said, the community thing. And that's another reason when we sort of started, it was the loneliness we heard about. So a lot of the people we feature, they have their own network, but they're lucky enough to have that.
And I think obviously lots of the people we speak to have hobbies. I mean, it's not work necessarily. There's the guy in there who, on his 80th birthday, decided that he likes skydiving, so he'll break a world record and do 80 jumps for his birthday.
80th birthday.
And that's what he had nothing to do with work, and he loved skydiving because of the community that there was. And him and his wife spend their lives doing that.
And they met doing that.
Yeah, they met doing that. And he said, you know, if you could put me in a plane every day and send me up skydiving, it would be pointless because the reason I do it is because of the people I meet and the camaraderie that you have. And so that's great, and I think that's one way for people to stay happy in later life is to have these sorts of communities we're talking about. So there is stuff in there that's not work related, but it just so happens that because lots of people are creatives, they carry on working because they love what they do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a community, and some of you are here, all ages, all genders, all backgrounds, and there are some genuinely old people and some genuinely young people and everything in between. And age doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we all are on the same wavelength. We're all, you know, it's a very magical thing. Is that just a London thing? I don't know. I'm so happy in that.
It's definitely a London creative.
It's a Sue thing.
Yeah.
But it is very important to have a tribe, to have a community, and to do for others. Otherwise, one could use it alone.
I think that a lot of the people from, I've read the book a few times, they don't really see work as work. Like, they might be
That's
making
it.
money from something,
Yeah.
but I think the thing is, it's what you talk about, is finding your passion. I really felt like people in there, it might be an aside that they're earning money from being a swimming teacher, but they love swimming.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you're doing your art, but the fact that you might make money from it is not the key drive, whereas I guess we're all working to get money to pay bills. I think it kind of becomes something
That's
different.
true, and I remember Gordon McVie, who's one of the leading cancer doctors in the UK. I remember asking him, we did our interview with him like just outside Guy's Hospital, and he was in such a rush because he was so busy. And I remember saying to him, are you gonna retire? And he was like, well, we haven't cured cancer yet, so.
Yeah, that's
kind of
the
attitude.
you're not done yet,
Yeah.
and you'll probably never be done.
Yeah.
You'll never be done. Yeah. But you're lucky if I were a clerk in Tesco's, I would even play golf or jump out of a plane to get there, so to stop that. So if you're lucky enough to have something you really care about, and so everybody's different. Everybody's different.
So one of our interviewees said that any job you do, you're adding something to the world, and you just take care in whatever it is, which I thought was really lovely.
I wondered about the kind of socioeconomic backgrounds of people that you've included in the book. Whether you looked at people who came from different backgrounds with regards to finances, or whether everyone was able. I mean, you've spoken a lot about people continuing to work. I wondered if there were any people who had to, work, because the next generation's coming up with this whole thing of pensions hanging over, that whole thing kind of hanging over us. And there's someone saying, oh, well, you need to work until at least you're 75, so you're not going to have any choice about
you
it.
have to.
Yeah.
This is the generation which was fortunate enough to be able to retire if it chose to, and knew that it was going to be receiving, kind of a good pension, which would allow them to, continue to live fairly well. And I just wondered whether the book looks at people from different socioeconomic backgrounds or not.
We hope it does.
Yeah, we tried.
Yeah, we definitely tried, and we're very aware of that. So yeah, there's a spectrum of people in there, and it's certainly not the case that everyone in there is enormously privileged and can just afford to just go and jump out of a plane every weekend. So there's everyone in there, from like a cobbler in Brixton Market that's still going strong, aged 80, and supporting his family, who all still live with him, and artists who are teaching at universities to pay the bills. And yeah, I think there's hopefully a little bit of everything in there. But it's something that we considered, and actually on the website it's something we really want to continue to drive forward.
The website continues.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. Yeah.
Are there any fears on your cards? To read out?
Do we need to give you 2 minutes to write your fears down, and then you pass them forward?
Sue, I'm interested actually to hear, what do people think when you say you don't live with your husband during the week?
The married people say, hey, that's great.
And how long have you been living that way?
20 years. It makes for, because my son is 50 now,
we
so
love
maybe
it.
even more than that. But it makes for a much better relationship, because all the mundane stuff of life, and he's very obsessed with what he does, I'm very obsessed with it. It keeps the relationship alive, and it allows us to do what we do. So I think most people say, hey, that's a really interesting.
Yeah, I think it is too.
I mean, if my mother was still around, she probably wouldn't like it. But I'm sweet, my mother's not around.
Okay, Sue, I'm going to start discussing these cards.
Okay.
The first one I'm going to read out. I'm scared of getting older because I may lose passion and feel like I've done it all.
Oh, you've never done it all. How could you? I'm going to die probably when I'm 103. Maybe even not then. And even then I won't have done it all. Yes, I mean, no. Done it all. What does that mean? Absolutely not. There's always something else.
I really identify with this one, so I'm going to read it out. I'm scared of getting older because I'm always tired. I worry it will be so much worse when I'm older. I agree with that one. Is there anything we can say to make that better?
Yeah, as you get older, you have more time to rest, because I do have to take naps. I get tired, of course I get tired. You all get tired. But you can sort of regulate your life a little differently, and you're not necessarily going to be working as hard or the same way when you're younger. And you can give yourself, you have to give yourself time to rest, because your body sort of breaks down a little bit. So you can look forward to getting older because you'll have more time to rest.
Good. Okay. Great.
This is such a good one. I'm scared of getting older because I don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
You're probably never going to grow up, which is a good thing, because you can just keep, you'll find things to do. You'll find a new kind of person to be as you go through different
How do you
stages.
find a passion though? I think we're lucky because we have a passion, but
Yeah.
how do you find...
Sometimes it finds you.
Yeah,
Sometimes it
just
finds
keep doing things.
You don't even know what's out there, and then, yeah.
Do you feel like a grown up?
No, definitely not. And I have friends who, you know who Daphne Self is?
Yeah.
The very elderly model. What an amazing woman. She's an inspiration to us all. And she always says, I don't know when I'm going to be when I grow up. And she's quite a bit older than I am. So we always have that next step, and we never really feel completely.
You never get there because you always think this like aging thing. You'll get to a certain age and then you'll be old. And
Yeah.
there's no such thing as that. It doesn't just suddenly happen.
Old is somebody who's maybe 10 years older than you are. I used to think that 70 was old. I used to think 80 was old. No, maybe 90 is
That's
old.
really interesting.
But when I get to be 90, then maybe 95. You never really feel that you're there. It's fascinating.
And we started Boulder, we thought 70 years old, that's our cutoff point.
No.
We decided on 70, so everyone had to be over 70, and then we started to realise that wasn't even old.
No. It's different now. If you're 70, it is really like when you're 50. Everything has changed. Everything has changed.
I could have written this one. I'm scared of getting older because I might be alone and single.
Good for you.
Well, I was going to say, I'm actually quite looking forward to that.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You.
It's quite good.
Yeah. And I mean, they say you don't make friends when you get to be a certain age. Yes, you do. You have friends, you have close friends, you have, casual friends. You'll never be totally alone unless you're some kind of hermit.
And what age did Muffy meet her husband?
84.
Married. And
loads of them.
The skydivers met when they were 50.
Yeah. Wow.
And they were really happy being single. But
Yeah. We were like, what about your friends? Did they not say you've missed the boat and stuff? And she was like, no. Maybe you should get some new friends.
Yeah. Basically, that's probably what it is, just getting a new peer group.
Yeah.
I'm scared of getting older because doors to opportunities might close and not having lived enough.
Different doors open. I mean, there is still a tremendous amount of ageism, and people don't want to hire over 50 or over 55. And sometimes you have to make your own opportunities. It changes, but you can do changes. But there'll always be some kind of an opportunity for you, even if you have to make it up yourself.
I'm scared of getting older because of losing contact with friends.
Well, it's the friends who died who you lose contact with. That for me, that's really the hardest part. But the friends who are still alive, why would you lose contact with them? And especially in the age of social media. And, you know, friends get in touch with you from high school, but you don't even want to get in touch with them. You're already. So, no, I think it's easier to keep in contact with the friends who are still alive than it ever was.
And do you find it easy to make new friends?
Very. But it's because of the field I'm in. You know, I meet people who are in the arts, who are outsider artists and so on, and then we sort of fall in love with each other in a very powerful friendship. So I've made lots of new friends over the years, and you will as well. I mean, that doesn't stop. Yeah. Shouldn't stop. It doesn't stop. Is that it? Those are the only fears we have?
What time is it?
I don't know.
You mentioned ages, which what I think probably that is how always how younger people are perceiving people older than them. And you said, oh, I thought 70 was really old, and then, you know. And I find all this stuff really interesting, that we have this sort of perception, and you said anyone, all through your life, anyone that's sort of 10 or 15 years old, you think, oh, they're really old, you know. And so I think it's really worth mentioning that there's a lot that we can do to embrace everyone's journey and who they are, not how old they are.
Yeah.
Actually see people for people.
Yeah,
rather than
exactly.
Yes, and not for an age that they are. And I think probably it becomes more, it happens more to you as you get older. And you still sometimes talk to people and you kind of feel that they're putting you in a box because they're a certain age and they see.
Especially as a woman, I think.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of consciousness that needs to change with younger people about that whole process, really. Not putting them in boxes and finding connection, which isn't to do with what you think that they're like because
The media has to start with that.
Yeah, it's about the stereotype. And the stereotype makes absolutely no sense. But Jo Good, we did a radio interview with her. She is very generous and very nice. She's in her 60s. And she was saying that she works with a lot of young people, and they're all essentially people. You know, they see each other for what they are, not for that stereotype.
Yes.
And I think that is really changing.
I often think it would be so interesting if we were all sort of, we were born, but then something happened to us and we didn't know how old we were.
Yes.
And we just lived our whole life. We didn't know how old anyone was, and we didn't know
Surely
how old
there's a
we
film
were.
to be made out.
That's an interesting idea.
I think also with the photography in the book, we can often have brands who are associated with older people contact us because that sort of photography about older people doesn't exist. And it's that stereotypical photography you see, that image of the pensioner or
Wrinkled hands.
or on their cruises, and that's gets ingrained in everyone.
Even the road signs for the elderly, it's like come on, you know, everything is negative and frail. It's just
That's
the internet knows exactly what you're doing, where you are, who you are, and I'm on Yahoo Mail, and there's always some kind of sponsored message up on top. And lately, I've been getting messages about incontinence care. And then I was getting messages about the centuries. And then I was getting messages about funerals. What?
Well, the stuff comes through the letterbox that they mark thermal underwear when you hit 50 on the cruises. So it just arrives.
I was reading something about how all of this messaging is quite self-fulfilling. And you know, if you go to a doctor with a sore knee and he says, well, it's because you're getting old. And you're like, well, my other knee is also getting old.
They have this phrase they use, I hate it. Wear and tear, my dear. Wear and tear. Okay.
So has anyone got any final questions before we wrap up? No? Great, well thank you, Sue. It's been amazing to hear all about you.
You've been the most wonderful one.
And to Dom and Helen.
And you two wrote the most amazing book. I'm very grateful to you. I'm grateful that you chose me as an
Grateful to read.
Thank you. Of course I agree.
So we have the book for sale tonight if anyone would like to buy a copy. It's
Yes.
$12.99 and everyone or no one can sign it for you. So if anyone would like to buy a copy,
very inspiring. It's unbelievably inspiring. And you'll laugh, you'll cry, it's $10 goodbye.
It is very
It's a very good.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you, Sue.
Oh, funny, it's all in